I don't think I'm going to see that beautiful of a person on the side of this video. And you said, oh, let me prove you wrong. It's good to see you. Welcome home. I think this video needs a little bit of context because I am a year and a half removed from this conversation. The positioning I was in during this conversation has a lot of value for somebody in that position during that time of life. The position that I'm in now, I think, has different insight on the whole situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the conversation play out as a whole, and then I'm going to come back at the end and I'm going to say a few lessons that I've learned and pull from it now that I have more experience in the industry. I am Ty. I'm an FPV drone pilot, professional and commercial. That's how I make my money in the video space. This one particular job, I teamed up with this guy who he's a creative director for a company that builds out amusement park rides. They have one in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee called Skyfly. I am with Steve. He is the vice president of creative, and he is the reason for, candidly, my highest ticket sale to date. So I'm very glad and grateful to be here and have a little conversation with him.
I'm the vice president of creative for the company, which means I oversee the creative endeavors for the organization, right? Whatever those endeavors might be. Historically, we have, as a company, been a ride manufacturer for some of the largest rides in the world at some of the biggest parks. But the reality is, like, we have been a ride manufacturer, but we started in 2018, 2019, moving towards developing our own attractions and saying we should have some ownership in this because we make the rides. We should show how you can do it and complete that process in a way that creates a really world-class experience. And so that's Skyfly represents the first installation of one of those experiences where we're saying it's not just, it's our ride, but it's our experience as well. And we partnered with the owners of the island who run operations and day-to-day management of the attraction. They oversee all of the staffing, and they could not be more amazing.
Can we talk a little bit about how you found me and how we ended up connecting?
So we were faced with a pretty large challenge, right? The attraction has been wildly successful, beyond what we could have hoped for or imagined. But it's a relatively short guest experience, and so we were set before us with a task: make the guest experience longer, especially the film. It was 6 minutes long, make it longer.
Yeah.
And our original goal was add maybe 4 shots, maybe 6 shots to the film. And I said, you know, historically, the way that we have done this, we have hired helicopter operators, and we've gotten very expensive, you know, on-mount helicopter cameras.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably expensive to go out and film that way.
I believe it.
And drones 4 or 5 years ago, when we really were, 6 years ago, filming the original content, they couldn't roll.
Yeah.
They could fly linear and they could go up and down, but they couldn't roll, and they couldn't fly away a helicopter flies. And that's a limiting factor because we need it to look a certain way, right? We need the feel in the theater to be a certain way.
Yeah.
FPV drones came out and completely changed the game. As I started looking at what these drones were capable of, I said, these can do what a helicopter does. And they're shooting resolutions and frame rates that are acceptable for what we need. I think there's an opportunity here for us to capitalize on that. And so I started on YouTube, of all places, which is where I found you. And I just started cataloging people that I thought were doing really cool things. Risk-taking. They showed great creativity in their shots and their compositions. They could fly the drone wildly. And I found you through that process. You were one of those people that stood out to me, and I just said,
let's go.
I just said, Ty can shoot some great footage. You had it on your YouTube channel, and that became a testimony and a portfolio for me of the quality of your work. And I reached out and I was like, do you ever lease or license your film content? And I'm pretty sure our email chain is still on that original email.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Just miles long.
Just miles long, going back and forth. But that's really it, right? I mean, you, through posting that content, showed me that you have the skills to go out and film great content. And then as we engaged and we talked about what we needed and you know, sort of what our limitations were in terms of acquisition, right? We're not positioned to go out and hire teams of people to run out and capture footage. We're looking to take footage that maybe already exists, but if you do capture new footage, we'll certainly consider it. Part of that was educating you in terms of what we needed. And as you went out and captured content, it was very clear you got what we were talking about. You understood the technical challenges. You understood the artistic requirements, and you nailed it.
Let's
You nailed
go.
it. Yeah.
I'm super appreciative, that of all your kind words. And I think for context, my YouTube, because I'm coming from social media world and camera world, and like my YouTube had maybe 5,000, 6,000 at the time. I'm still like, I view that as like lower tier, like, oh, it's nothing. It's not really like of that much value, but it's kind of crazy to think like the opportunities come from even like, you don't need massive numbers. You just need like
need good
talent
content.
so it's
Show your talent, and you did.
and I believe it was the waterfall shot. Was that the first video you saw? Was the waterfall video?
It was the waterfall.
Yeah.
And I think you lost the drone. I think you posted and you said something like, this is when I crashed the drone or lost the drone.
Was it in the Hawaii waterfall?
It might have been, yeah.
That's how you found me?
Yeah, because I
No
saw that and I
way.
went, no,
Wait,
no.
with the helicopter toss?
What's that?
With the helicopter? Where I threw it out of the helicopter?
I can't remember.
Okay, because the waterfall, I remember you mentioned the one where I flew into the waterfall.
Yeah.
And then you were upset that I spun at the end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it that shot?
Everyone spins. I can't
Yeah.
remember. I think there was one where you crashed the drone, and
Oh,
but
that's-
you crashed it because you were taking chances, and I was like, yeah, yeah, that's what we need is somebody who's not flying safe, because look, a flying theater, it's a great experience. It's a great ride, right? It's an all ages ride. It's a ride that suits, we say 8 to 80, right? Children, adults, seniors, everyone can get on this attraction and have a good time. I don't think we've ever really fully explored the full potential of what this system is and can do. And the only way we do that is by going beyond what's been done in the past, which are very safe flights, and starting to become a little more aggressive. And so for me personally, watching the way that you flew the drone and how you composed the shots and the risk that you were taking, I said, oh yeah, yeah, there's something here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm honored. 'Cause that's natural. I grew up in action sports, so I think risk is just kind of in my blood, and that's where it stems from. It's kind of, FPV is kind of like the action sports of film world.
It is.
That's how I equate it. So, yeah, it's a great match, to be honest. But is that what you predominantly work on? Is entertainment rides, like these specific rides, or are you in a broader creative field?
So, I mean, as within my role as vice president of creative, I touch pretty much everything as a creative endeavor within our company. That's going to include our website. That's going to include any marketing material. It's going to include promotional and sales material for our business development staff. It's going to include attraction design, concept design, story development, character development. It includes attraction layout, building layout, exterior and interior design of spaces. It's animation, it's animatics, it's film production, it's oversight of score and music production. It's coordinating with inside and outside vendors. It's working with the engineering team. So it's a little bit of everything.
What's your favorite facet of it?
The everything part of it, right?
Okay, like a little sample platter?
Yeah, so my background is in design.
Okay.
But design pre-computers, right? Everything done by hand.
Are you an artist? Can you draw?
Oh yeah, I can draw and I can paint and I can sculpt.
Oh, no way.
I have a BFA in studio art,
Okay.
fine art, and so I'm traditionally trained and classically trained in terms of drawing and sculpting. And then I'm an early adopter with a lot of tech as well. So I got into the computer and started animating in the late 1980s,
Okay.
and and sort of have built a career around that path.
So cool.
I got into film television production for maybe 10 years. I've worked in advertising, military simulation and training.
No
I've worked
way.
in education. I ran one of the top animation schools in the United States. I've worked in video game development, architectural visualization, and ultimately all of that comes together in themed attraction design.
Yeah.
It's graphic design, it's film production, it's simulation,
Yeah.
it's training, it's education, it's game development. We develop, and most people who are at the upper end are using game development tools to lay out these parks, because the game development tools are visualization tools. So it's the everything. It's the fact that every day
Yeah.
I'm working every single skill set that I've ever developed, and it's amazing, right?
I love that because I've been thinking of that concept lately, and I've looked back just on my small few years of life, but just that concept of skill stacking,
Yeah.
where it's like I noticed that like cameras, like I started filming at the skate park, and then I'm like, oh, how do I edit this? How do I frame this to look better? And then you get a camera. How do you do photography and work with lighting? And then how do you fly drones? And how do you travel the world and navigate so I can get better footage? And it just all stacks on top of each
It
other,
builds. And
So
all of
it's-
that will continue throughout your career and throughout your life.
Yeah.
You'll find that you end up using skills from your 20s when you're in your 50s, because that's how life is. You just continue to stack those skills, and as you build that up, your value increases, right? It's that
Yeah.
knowledge and that experience that gives you that ability to say, yeah, I can work in that area. I can help in that area.
Yeah.
So,
So okay, so how long have you been doing themed attraction for?
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah, 9 years.
Almost a decade.
Which is, almost a decade now.
Is it a
And
growing field, themed attraction?
I think themed attraction is a growing field. I think it's also a volatile field.
Okay, how
It's
so?
very similar to visual effects work, which is a volatile field. Studios will ramp up and hire hundreds of people, and then they will, as soon as the project is wrapped, they will release hundreds of people. And so
Yeah.
the market is constantly swelling, and then it's releasing and swelling and releasing. And you'll see the same people over and over again who will come into a project and then they'll get let go of the project, not because they did anything wrong or their work wasn't good. The project hit its milestones and they didn't need the department, and the whole department gets cut.
Yeah.
Game development functions that way, film television functions that way, and themed attraction development functions that way as well.
I'll see that
Yeah.
in LA too, in my field of music videos and a lot of freelance drone work. Just freelancers can be brutal.
Yeah.
It's great for sampling a lot of things, but and getting connections, but at the same time, it's like it's not super dependable.
Yeah.
Unless you're just in a vast network.
Yeah, dependable is difficult. I ran my own business for 10 years prior to making a shift towards military simulation. And there were some very tight months, and then there were some really epic months where you make a lot of money,
Yeah.
and then several months go by and you make no money at all. And you watch your bank account dwindle, and you hope and pray that something else shows up
Yeah.
and keeps you going. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. It gets a little dicey. It's fun, but it's not for everybody. And but the beauty is when you're living that sort of lifestyle, every day is an adventure,
Yeah.
and you never know what's going to come.
Yeah. That is the enticing part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously grown to a point where you're not contracted out anymore. You're full time. You're vice president
Correct.
of the company. Are you guys do you guys plan on expanding to more rides or building your own, or kind of taking, because you said you partner up with the owner of this island for that attraction. Are you guys trying to do that kind of model, or are you guys branching out into like other fields, or?
Well, we're at our core, we're a group of unbelievably creative and talented engineers who have built some of the most iconic attractions in the world. I run the creative department, which is both internal and external team of artists. But the model we're pursuing is co-ventures or joint ventures with people like here at the island, because it gives us the ability to take chances and risks with our own attractions and with our own rides, and to set a model up to say this is how it can be done, and that then serves as a portfolio piece for us as well, to say this is what it could be like. Do you want something like this in your area, in your region?
So this is actually more than just a ride then for Dynamic. It would be a proof of concept that you can sell to.
100%.
Yeah.
This is the first joint venture we did, but it's also our showpiece to say this is what an attraction done right can look like. It's beautiful, it's fun, it's engaging, it's entertaining. It's a world-class experience. It's a true theme park experience, but it's outside of a traditional theme park. And that's the goal, is to bring those Disney and Universal type experiences to other locations.
Yeah.
So that people who are already in those locations can have that without having to travel hundreds and hundreds of miles to get to a park, and then you know all of the challenges that the park entails, right? Rushing from location to location and hoping you get through the attraction when there's a line that's 3 hours long to get on the ride, right? So, by taking a great iconic attraction and putting it into a place like this, you're not going to wait 5 hours to get onto this ride, and you're going to have a wonderful time.
How do you go about looking for the footage for these rides? And like, besides, so is it really just a YouTube search, and like, or is it Instagram? Are you sourcing a lot? Is it hard to find footage, or is it
It's hard to find footage that's done right.
Okay.
It's easy to find footage. It's not easy to find footage that's shot right. The list of things that can ruin a shot are long.
Yeah. And
I've
it's not,
shared those
and it's not natural to how people would typically fly a drone.
Correct.
Or an FPV
Correct.
drone. Yeah, there's a couple things.
Correct. I'm looking for that raw talent, and then I figure if I can train that raw talent with the very specific list of requirements for this field, I'll get gold, which is, I think we've proven that with this experience with you being here. You know, but it's difficult. You look at shots and you think, okay, will that work? Can I coach this person to get where I need to be? But it is difficult, and the list is short. It's not a long list of people that we work with. It's a relatively short list. And again, I think that this is changing as FPV drones have come into place, as the GoPro systems have gotten better and better and better. Stabilization on those cameras have gotten better, right? Before, a very lightweight drone without any real weight to it was very subject to a lot of jittery motion. So you don't get that with a helicopter, you get that with a small lightweight drone.
Right.
Stabilization can help that. So as the technology increases and continues to go, that's really when we're beginning to see these doors open up for non-traditional ways to acquire the footage.
Yeah.
And I think it will be easier for us to acquire. I think really the challenge now is, for people like yourself, is to outpace the technology, because AI is coming.
Yeah.
And AI is 18 months away at this point from replacing traditional cinematographers. I think the challenge that exists for traditional DPs in any field, and any, film, television production field, is how do I differentiate and do something that can't be done with AI?
Right.
You're gonna have to chase that and always stay ahead of that curve. And in some cases, you probably will want to lean into it. To me personally, having lived through many tech changes, I have learned that adopting the tech early on and not fearing it,
Yeah.
but finding a way to leverage it is the path to success.
Yeah. And I would agree.
So I would say when you start looking at filming in painting and out painting with AI to add elements to existing real footage is an opportunity for a person like yourself to take a raw shot and say, okay, well, there was a car in that shot and I don't want that car.
Yeah.
Or I really wanted a horse and buggy because it's a back in time shot.
Yeah.
And so using that technology, which would traditionally require a visual effects team
Right.
to come in and track the shot and build the models and animate it and light it and render it and comp it. And now you're looking at hours, weeks, months of production time. Somebody like yourself can sit down with VO3, which was released recently, and use in painting and out painting and add those to the shot. And now all of a sudden your offering as an operator vastly increases. You're taking your own content and you're plussing it in a way that wouldn't have been possible for a solo artist.
Do you think, I don't know how familiar you are with AI. I'm not super familiar with the capabilities right now, but do you think that there's going to be an in-between step where you're you're using real footage for dynamic projects, and then you're comping in before the actual wave of just being able to create the whole shot happens?
We're already doing that in some limited capacity now.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about, well, I'll give you some examples, right? We use AI to frame rate convert.
Yeah.
It's not what people would traditionally think of, but that is an AI process to create in-betweens. There are many shots in the current film that were converted a frame rate from 24 frames a second up to 60, sometimes 29.97, sometimes 30, sometimes 40 up to 60. So we always are marching to that 60 frame per second beat.
Yeah.
AI was used for that. There are shots where it's not quite long enough, and Adobe put out early on in this process the ability in Premiere to extend your shot. That's not great, but if you just need 1 second longer to bridge the transition, okay, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Because it's going away.
They're crossfading it
You're
anyway.
crossfading out anyway, and it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But we did that in one or more shots in this film where it just wasn't long enough, and we nudged it forward. So it's already in play.
Yeah.
The problem with AI right now is there are multiple problems. Resolution is a huge limiting factor. Shot duration is another huge limiting factor. And then the inability to AI on top of AI, which is something that I didn't really
Interesting.
think about, but you can't do.
What would the use for that be? Like you
Um,
need to comp in something and then change something
Well,
else?
think about
or-
AI generation, right? You think about Sora, OpenAI Sora, Google's VO3, Kling. There's any number of these companies that have tools, and that's just the paid ones. We're not talking about LTX or WAN or any of the other open source models that you could use to generate content. But at the end of the day, all of those are putting out content that's at best 30 frames per second, at best. And a lot of them are putting out 12 to 16 frames per second.
Interesting.
Okay. And they're always fairly low res. On average, at best, full HD. But our film is 6K. So 1080p would have to be up-resed. If you take AI footage, it looks good on screen. It has an inherent footprint to it, an inherent structure to the way the pixels are organized. If you run that back through another AI to up-res and frame rate convert it, you will get garbage. Just unbelievable garbage. And it's a problem. So if your AI kicks out a great looking shot, that's what you've got. Using other AI tools to try to get that to a better quality state is very difficult at
Yeah.
this stage. You can look at something like Topaz with their Starlight AI, which is a diffusion-based model, which means that they're using a fundamentally different approach towards generating an up-resed content rather than trying to sharpen what's existing there. They're actually running a diffusion pass on it, which with a low level of denoise on it, which basically creates an image that is very similar, but can synthesize new details in the shot. It's pretty remarkable when you look at it, because temporal coherence in a shot like that or in a model like that is very difficult to achieve. So it's a pretty remarkable achievement to do that. But even then, its maximum resolution is what, maybe 1080p, and it has to tile to get to the larger sizes.
Yeah.
And it's not quite there. Will it get there? Of course. This is as bad as it will ever be. But it just comes back to, at the end of the day, technology shouldn't be feared. You should embrace it as quickly as possible, because you'll be left behind if you don't.
I think of it like the internet. When like the internet came out, everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to take everyone's job, and it's going to do like, yeah, it can do a lot that isn't required by people anymore." Look how much it gave.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of think AI will be the same thing, or maybe a similar capacity, right?
When I got my degree in design, computers existed, but they weren't common. The college I went to had a room where you could go see a computer, like a wild animal in the zoo. You could go look in the room at the computers. And
Behind the glass.
Yeah, and that was it. It was like, this is the room of computers. But nobody had them, nobody used them. And in design at that point, if you wanted to mock up an ad, you would go down to the store, to an art store, and you would buy from a company called Letterset, a page of letters. And they would be reversed, and you would take that and you'd put it down on the page, and you'd take a little burnishing tool and you would rub down, and one letter would come off. And then you would pick the page up and you would move it over and you would burnish the next letter down. And if you had to do a whole block of text, it could take a day. And if your spacing was off, you threw it out and you started over again. And then the computer came along, and now we don't even think about it.
Right.
That took somebody's job. It took away the need for people to do that type of work, but it also made the process faster and easier. That's what the technology does. So you either embrace that and go, you know what, this is a better way to do things, or you fear it and you still keep buying press type because that's how you learn to do it.
Yeah.
And you quickly find yourself out of a job because no one's going to pay you 6 hours of work to burnish down text
Right.
when somebody can do it in 10 minutes on a computer. So that's the challenge, right, for everybody at this stage. Whether you're a photographer, an illustrator, any sort of art field, a musician, it doesn't really matter. The computer is coming for you. Don't fear it. Embrace it.
Yeah.
That's find a way to make it your own and integrate it
Right.
into your process.
Yeah. And more on a personal front with AI and dynamic, are you guys, you've mentioned that you're aiming, a secondary goal was to set up a media library. And are you aiming to wait for AI to get to the point where you could just type in and create a library that way?
I wouldn't say we're waiting for that. We know that's going to happen. I know that's going to happen.
Right.
We're not waiting for it. We need content. It needs to be done right. And again, I'm very familiar with where we are technologically with AI as of the end of May 2025. I also know it will get better every single month. So there will come a point where we prompt what we want. That's
Yep.
going to be the truth. But the reality is, AI in its current implementation is a dice roll.
Yeah.
You tell it what you want, and you press the button, and you hope that your prompt got the right details in. And maybe it does, and maybe it doesn't. And you could sit here like a old woman at a casino pressing the button, hoping to get a jackpot, and you could do that for days and never get what you want, and burn through hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars in the process. And that's where that works to a degree if you're not very particular. But I am very particular, and our films require very particular content, and they have to be filmed a very certain way. So AI will get there. It's not here today, and it's not going to be here at the end of this year. But 18, 24, 36 months from now, it 100% will be. That still doesn't mean that will be our primary means for acquiring content. There's the technical limitations still within that, but there's the creative as well. And at the end of the day, there's something magical about practical visual effects. And there's something magical about real footage. It feels different than a computer-generated footage.
Yeah.
And somebody who is out there taking risks like yourself, who's always pushing themselves to do more with their skill and their talent, you're always going to be ahead of the curve in terms of what AI can do, because you're out there developing the content. I think for you, learning how to train a model on your own style, developing your own style, and then training a model on your own style is a really fascinating and almost critical path forward. As an example, within illustration, right? I know how to paint, I know how to draw. I can take my own work, feed that into the computer, and train it and say, that's my style. And then I can have the computer spit out images in my style. And you can do the same thing with video. You can train a low rank adaptation on your particular style, your particular footage, and then have it start to generate content in your style. I think those sorts of things right now are almost a form of digital currency, right? Because if the computer is, think of it this way, and I go back to fonts, right? We used to have to hand ink letters, and you had to learn how to draw fonts because they needed to look good. And then font designers came along, and that was sort of their signature style of typography, right? And you would buy a font from a specific design house because you liked the way that those letters looked, and you would put them onto the page. And using that font is a way for you to sort of convey a meaning, right? It's the same thing here. You can think of a low rank adaptation or a LoRa on top of a diffusion video model as the font that you're choosing. But instead of it being, type, it's your style of film. It's your color. It's your camera movement. It's your locations. It's what you do that differentiates you from the rest. I think those sorts of things are fascinating to me because nobody's selling that right now. There are a lot of them out there, but it's 100% the sort of thing that an artist could take and say, this is my content, this is how I work, I'm now selling you this and licensing my style as an add-on on top of it. Right?
Do you think the infrastructure is there though to be able to market something like that? Because if you bought somebody's style, how would that? You'd have to leverage it through an AI software.
The infrastructure is there now. It's bleeding edge though, so it's difficult. Typically, right now we're in the. I don't know if this is going to way date me, but we're in the Napster of AI right now.
I don't even know what that is.
It's awesome. I love it. In the world of music, you know what an MP3 file is. Everyone does. There was a time where MP3 files didn't exist. And if you wanted music, you had to go to the store and buy it. And there were no streaming services. There was no Spotify. There was no Apple, iTunes. And you would go to the store and you'd buy a CD or a record or a cassette or an 8-track. And then all of a sudden, the computer made it possible to digitize music. You could take your CD and you could rip it. Take the files
LimeWire?
off of it, and all of a sudden now you've got an MP3 file.
Uh-huh.
And then somebody got the really smart idea, because it's the internet. What if we made it possible for people to search and share files? And they did, and they called it Napster. And it was unbelievably popular because all of a sudden, people in Eastern Europe could be downloading Western music, and people in the West could be downloading stuff from China. And all of a sudden, all over the world, people could now grab files, and it was the Wild West.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when technology's bleeding edge. There are no regulations. There are no rules. It's just a free-for-all. And when that happens, creativity abounds. It's just all over the map, right?
Yeah.
And you can do some wild things. And that's where we are right now with AI. The regulations aren't in place yet. So that was a great time to dig in, because what's going to happen is the same thing that happens in every industry. It will eventually get regulated, and it will be controlled, and there will be 3 sites that you go to, and they will tell you what you can generate and what you can't. But right now, it's not the case. So there are companies that are moving towards that, but right now you can download your own content, your own video open source models, and you can generate your own videos at home.
Yeah.
And within that paradigm, you can train low rank adaptation files on a specific style and feed that back on top of it and bend it. So if you think of it, a low rank adaptation is like a user dictionary in like your word processing software, right? You start using words and it says, I don't know what that is, and it thinks it's misspelled, and you go, no, add that to the dictionary, right? That's a real word. Stop thinking it's misspelled. It's a real word. That's what it is. The video diffusion model understands certain context, but if you say, I want this to be shot as though it was through an FPV drone, if that terminology is not baked into the model and it doesn't understand what FPV drone is, and you ask for it, you're going to get a silly bunch of nonsense back. So what you do is you then take your footage that's all flying content and you tell it, this is FPV, this is FPV, this is FPV, and it looks at the similarities and the discrepancies, it finds the common points, and it goes, flying this way means FPV. And you assign that word to it, and you create what's called a low rank adaptation, and you take the model and you stick it on top. And then when you say, I want FPV, you add the FPV LoRa on top, and now you get flying, whereas the model couldn't do it before. And what makes that really unique is every single person can train their own content. And now you can leverage yourself as an artist.
That's so
into the
fascinating.
space.
And you could build out a whole ecosystem of like different cameras and different styles of shooting,
Absolutely.
and just have like you're saying, like a dictionary or like a reference thing to be like, hey, I need talking head in like this scene, and like
Correct.
it's like you just input what you've shot before. How does that? You would have to inherently shoot. Well, I guess that's where licensing your likeness would come in, because if it's like, oh, I'm just getting started in YouTube, or I'm just getting started in like documentary style, but I don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, I want it to look like this is who I'm inspired by, Peter McKinnon, or or Sam Colder, like a travel film or something that you whatever. And like, then you could really license that out and be like, hey, yeah, you can make it like an FPV shot like Ty Rogers.
Yeah.
For X amount, whatever, and then you could type in whatever you want. That's fascinating. But can you reference things on LoRa? I'm pretty unfamiliar with how LoRa's work. can you like pull from other people's styles? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Or do you have to
and-
input your own every time?
So one of the big complaints, if you will, 2 years ago with AI models when they came out was these models were trained on images, some of them open source, some of them maybe not so much. You had artists whose work was fed into these models
Yeah.
without their knowledge, and users began to realize very quickly that if I want my work to look like Dr. Seuss, I just have to say in the style of Dr. Seuss, and now all of a sudden I've got Dr. Seuss looking imagery. And if it's not Dr. Seuss, it might be Greg Rutowski, and it might be some of these other famous illustrators. And all of a sudden people started saying, wait a minute, I've built up my style over 20, 30 years,
Right.
and now anyone can generate artwork in my style because it's in the model. That was the early Wild West of image creation. And then the regulations started to come in and people got really upset. And so the models got sanitized and a lot of that got taken out. That's when the concept of a low rank adaptation file, or a LoRa, got introduced, because
Okay.
now you take a vanilla model where all that interesting stuff's been stripped out, and now you have to feed it back on
Yeah.
top. But with that, you lost some really interesting things in the base model, but you gained the ability to fine tune the model into your own particular style. I have done this professionally now with my own work, where I have trained LoRa's in my own style, and now I can generate 10 times the amount of concepts in my own style. It's like duplicating 10 of me and letting me go to work.
Yeah.
While I
Are you
sip my
saying
coffee.
in your drawings, in your artwork?
Yes,
Yeah. And it's, I would assume it could handle that pretty well with images.
very easily.
Yeah, just-
and it works with video. It's already out there with video as well.
Is the quality standard that high with it? Like, if I took my FPV footage and fed it, made my own LoRa, could I replicate shots that are passable for real footage?
I don't know. I think so, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I can tell you that there are models out now within the last month. These are very bleeding edge, that can do unlimited length at 30 frames per second, up to 720p resolution.
Okay.
That's pretty good, and they do take LoRa's, and you can train LoRa's for them.
What
Now,
What program is that?
I need to go back and look at the name. I need to go back and look at the name.
Okay.
I've got it, and I've played with it, and it's remarkable. But I've been working on this project day and night now for months, and my ability to play with some of that bleeding edge stuff is a little bit limited. So I can't tell you how well it works with LoRa's. I know it does. I've seen that. And I know you can train it with your own content. And if you don't have the computer equipment to do this, the beautiful thing is you can lease, on many of these sites, you can lease GPU content
No way.
for cheap, a few bucks an hour in terms of your overall cost.
Yeah.
And now you don't even need a workstation with a huge graphics card. You can just spec what you want and you pay for use. You pay by the hour of use,
Yeah.
which is really remarkable. So again, we're talking about things that are very, very, very bleeding edge,
Right.
and we're probably way off topic from what we were originally intending to talk about.
Oh, no, I'm loving it.
But I think for yourself at the beginning of your career and looking at the tech, which should worry everyone, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you leverage your
Right.
unique style? How do you play nicely with the tech that's coming so that you're not left in the dust? Somebody is going to come along and just type in what they want and not hire people. That's going to happen. But you're at a unique position now to get in front of it and to say, no. I don't have to fear this. I can embrace it. and offer content that is not only more unique because of it, but I can also train these tools to bend them to what I want them to be.
Right.
And you could then be generating content
Right.
for your own work. So I know it's a real touchy subject for a lot of people with AI, but I just feel like every field right now creative field is going to have to face this conversation at some point.
Yeah, and that's been huge on my mind too. Is as I've been freelancing back in LA, it's like you're a commodity as a drone pilot. It's just they just need anyone that can fly a drone for, a few hours. FPV, yeah, sure, it's a little bit more limited in number of people that are capable because the barrier to entry. But like for Mavic flying, it's a lot of people. You just need one, and then you can fly it. So I'm like, how do you differentiate between commodity and of value, that one of a kind value? And I lean a lot into like personal brand, and that's a big reason why I'm doing the series and episodes and that. But now it's like, well, how do you leverage AI so that your commodity becomes one of a kind? You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, I think it's developing a
license that
style.
style.
And
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
licensing your style. That assumes, of course, that we continue to live in a world where access to the tools is free and people can utilize those. What we know with tech is people tend to lean towards the simplest solution, even if it's not the best. Spotify is a great example, right? Spotify is not the best way to consume music content. It's arguably one of the easiest, though. And within that, that's where things gravitate towards.
what would be better? I'm curious on the qualifications you would put for best.
I think,
In Spotify.
like any website that is offering you content, it's not what they're offering you that you should judge it by, it's what they're not offering you,
Okay.
right? What artists are not on that platform for whatever reason, right? Whether they're indie, whether they're old, whether they're obscure, whether their licensing agreement with their record company doesn't permit it, whether creatively or personally they have objection to being on that platform. The number of times my wife goes into Spotify and I'm listening to a song from an obscure artist and she goes, oh, I'm going to add that to my Spotify. And I tell her what it is and then she can't find it.
Really?
And that really is exactly my point. There's all kinds of amazing content out there, but if you only live in that little ecosystem, you only know that ecosystem, right? It's like being fed a diet of fast food and then not realizing that there's actually really good cuisine out there. And so, the easier something is, the more it will be adopted, but the easier it is, the more it's been stripped down of the things that make it interesting. The challenge right now is the tech is so bleeding edge that you can really begin to leverage some of these tools, and you hope that at some point it doesn't get dumbed down for the masses to the point where those very interesting things that would make it possible for you to leverage the tools yourself go away. If I had to put money on it, they probably will. But I'm not worried about that, because as long as those tools still exist, everyone will be stuck using the Spotify of AI. And you will run your own private version that is unbound and unchained, unregulated, and you'll be able to do things that the rest of the masses won't. Because all they know is whatever website that they went to and they clicked the button because that was the easy solution, and they got whatever result it was, but it will always look like the same results that everyone else who goes to that website pushed.
Right.
So for me, bleeding out on the edge of that technology and leveraging that is what gives you the unique ability to do what you do. If you're out there able to train a model in your own style and you're able to get the quality to the point where it's good, even if a website like Google's Veo doesn't offer you that ability, you still have the opportunity to do that. If you're out there selling your services and a client says, I need you to give me a drone shot of X, Y, or Z, yes, you could go out and shoot it. And there's a lot of fun in doing that. I think the future is you've already shot it, you've fed it into a model, you've trained it, and you're generating the content and you're getting paid the same cost without the flight, travel, or anything else. I think then your job as a content creator becomes building the library of content in your own style so that you can train the model, so that you can then sell the work and have it by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to drive a lot of this as well. I don't want to have to wait. I need it tomorrow, right?
Right.
And that'll be that. I don't want to wait 3 weeks to get the shot. I need it by tomorrow morning. And somebody will call you and they'll say, Tyler, we need this shot. And you'll say, not a problem. And you'll have a library of your own content trained. You'll have trained the model. You'll generate the content and you'll say, here you go.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And
I mean,
that will be that.
yeah, from a business standpoint, that's like definitely, it's going to be a balance though. Because most people that, at least in travel content sphere, you know, that's why we do it, is because we want to go out and travel. So it's like, I wonder how that's going to play out.
You'll still travel.
Yeah.
But you won't travel for a job. You'll travel to build your library.
Huh.
You'll travel
Yeah.
to build your content library, not to sell that, but to train.
That's crazy.
The model.
You're traveling to train your AI model.
Yeah, that's what you'll do. It's no different than right now if I were to illustrate 10 pictures and say, here's the style that I want, and feed that in to a diffusion model and train Allura and apply that back in. This is no different. It's just doing it with video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh man. I feel like my mind is like so open, you know? It's like,
Well, you don't have to worry about it now, but
Yeah.
but
I mean, it's exciting, to be honest.
I spent many years running an animation school, and I'm used to sitting down with kids who are on the bleeding edge of technology trying to make films. And if I were to sit down with any of them today, I would say the exact same thing. The way that you did this 6 months ago is not the way that it's going to be done in 6 months forward. The world is changing far too fast right now, and you have to get on board with that, or you're going to be left behind and
Yeah.
unemployable, because it's like the world pre-internet. It's a different place, man.
Yeah, and so fast too, so rapid, like you're
Yeah,
saying.
it's
It's crazy.
hard to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah. The value is when they push the button, they can't get what they want. And they try and they try and they try and they shrug their shoulders. That's where the difference between being employable and not employable comes into play as a content creator.
Right.
So I look at the future and I think it's an amazing time for content creators because they're not being made obsolete. Some of the work is being made obsolete. But the smart ones are going to look at how it's being done and saying, how do I insert myself into this process and become integral to it, not, let it wash over me.
Right. Yeah, I could literally go on for hours. I feel like there's so many questions that just spur off in thoughts and different.
I would encourage you to spend a lot of time on X/Twitter, whatever you call it these days, and just begin following Hanyan and LTX and some of the other open source model developers. Just start following them and following people who are following them and watch what's being posted. The most interesting things are always taking place on the bleeding edge outside of the mainstream. And when you start exploring that, you're going to find out just what a wild place it really is. And that's where the fun is in terms of the content.
Yeah.
The ability for you now to shoot, like I said, a drone shot and say, I shot it 4:3, but it really needs to be 16:9, and have it outpaint the content. That exists now, and it's phenomenal, right? The ability to replace a person, to replace items, to paint out or put in things that you want in your shots. I mean, if you're out there filming and have that ability, you've just eliminated a lot of hurdles for me as a producer to come in and say, well, I really like this shot, but I don't like that car. I don't like that boat. I don't like that cloud, and I want something else. Can you put it in? And if you have that ability, you've now added your repertoire
Yeah.
for me to be able to say I can rely on Tyler to get the shot. He's got a great bass shot, but
They don't really do podcast stuff ever. So I think it was a great first episode.
I'm happy to be on your first episode.
Heck yeah. Well, it has been a phenomenal conversation, to be honest. I didn't expect it to go down the rabbit hole of AI and the future, but
Sorry, I didn't mean to take us off course.
no, it's good because it really does showcase, like, yeah, it's cool what we're doing with drone and whatnot, and amusement rides and stuff, but it really is important to think about the future and where things are headed and like how we can adapt to it, because it is scary. There's an element of fear to it, at least from my perspective, from filming and whatnot, but it's like, train your likeness. There's ways to leverage it and use it as a tool versus let it take over you.
Yeah.
So
Well, look at what you've done with FPV drones. That's a new tech. I mean, it's not new this year, but it didn't really exist in an appreciable way 5 years ago when we were out capturing content for this film
Right.
the first time around.
Right, yeah.
It revolutionized how we can capture content for this type of experience. And all of a sudden now, we're able to get footage we would never be able to get. Can you imagine a shot like the Vegas shot, flying over the Paris balloon in Las Vegas in a helicopter? I mean, can you imagine the permits that would have to be gotten to achieve that, right?
Yeah.
The technology is already empowering you to do things that could not be done 5 years ago. So you're already taking advantage of that, and I would just encourage you continue on that path, right? Stay on top of whatever's happening in your field and leverage that to your success.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I really appreciate you talking to me, and I appreciate you putting in all the hard work, all the overnight hours for the ride. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. The initial reviews are really fantastic, right? And people love this new film. They love the shots. They love the shots that you've done on them. So thank you for contributing to this. It's been a huge joy.
Heck yeah. Lovely chatting with you.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Now, I have done some licensing to broadcasting since then, so I've licensed footage out to TV shows. I'm in talks for something in broadcasting. I really don't know how much I'm allowed to say about that, truthfully. I've worked with global brands since, like Toyota, Red Bull, NFL, like those types of brands, on social shoots, on very different circumstances. It's not quite. What I'm trying to say with all this is I've had a lot more seasoned experience now, and what would I want to know? Because the conversation was really between a young version of me that didn't really know what to ask, and now I know what I would want to know then. So if I were to give myself advice from this, it's, I guess, get curious about the other realms of life. And what I mean by that is young Ty would stay inside the creative bubble and meet other people doing other creative things, which is really good, but it's more so friendships than networking. It's literally just friendships disguised as networking. If you're a cameraman talking to another cameraman, he could already do what you can do, just point blank. If you're a cameraman talking to a TV network that doesn't know how to actually shoot the video that they want to make and put on their TV network, that's a lot of value. And the distribution that they have is a lot of value for you. It tends to be older people that have been in the industry, and you meet them not so much like at events. It's kind of like, I mean, if you shoot events, that could be super helpful. That's how I met some people in broadcasting. Because you're just like, there's so many different people at the event, and if you can just network and like talk to a bunch of people and just honestly lead with curiosity. Also, the big projects take forever, and like not really, but like just when you're doing something cool and there's more people involved and more distribution and a bigger scale, it tends to just take a lot longer. Some patience is required, a lot of communication back and forth, and it turns into a whole emotional game between contracting out and just like reading contracts, and then getting excited about something because they just told you about it, but then it takes months to actually move to the next stage, and then it can get cut at any moment. Learning how to control your emotions, meeting the right people, the actual right people, with budget and in need of what you can actually provide, and just putting yourself out there and lead with curiosity. That's how I've honestly gotten like all of the things, all of the things, because I'm just curious and I just ask what people do, and then they tend to read my authenticity and then ask back. So, and then they see the value that you can provide to them.